Woo! So today is a special day for us, isn't it?
It is.
So today is our anniversary, so we thought we would share that with you all, as we've done the last 3 years, doing property stuff. So today we're going to be talking all about the pros and cons of investing in property. I'm sorry, in self-managing, and not investing in property, in self-managing our properties. A completely different topic that was. And the reason is that we've recently handed over all the management of our properties to an agent. So we're going to talk to you about the pros and cons of how it's been for us. So we'll start with just a little bit about what the journey's been like so far.
Yeah, so when we first started in property, which was when we became accidental landlords, so who know our story will know about that. So we had a flat which we used to live in, and when we decided to rent it out, we kind of automatically were like, yeah, we're just going to hand it off to an agent just because we thought that's what we do. It's going to be easier and safer to do it that way. And it's actually worked out really well. To be fair, we haven't had many issues, if any, with that property. But then when we thought, right, let's seriously get into property now, and we started building our property portfolio up north, for some reason, even though the one where we used to live in is pretty much 40 minutes away, and the one which is 3 hours away, we decided to manage ourselves. So there was another reason to how that came about. So when we first started, we were like, we're going to get somebody to manage it for us. But what we didn't realise was actually much harder to find HMO agents than standard buy-to-let agents. So we were really trying to see who would work for us. And there were some people that we thought they might be okay. And the person that we did want, just their contact was just awful, to be honest. So they just didn't get back in contact with us. So we were like, so in the process of that, behind the scenes, we started advertising one of the properties that we had, and we managed to let it really, really quickly. And we thought, oh, that was easy. We don't need a managing agent. So we're like, let's just do this on our own and see how we get on. We thought we're going to learn loads, which we have done. We'll learn lots. We can really get to know our tenants. We thought, let's do that. So we did that. To start with, and another reason we also decided to do it, or continue to do it, was because we thought, what's more important to us at that point in time? Was it money or was it time? And for us, we were like, actually, we need more money right now than we do time, because we're like, if we have more money, that means we're going to reach financial freedom quicker, which means we can leave our jobs quicker, which we can then decide to hand off our properties if we want to. So that's kind of how we ended up self-managing, and it kind of went from there until recently, and when we've handed them off to agents. So we thought we'd now tell you a bit about the positives of managing our own properties.
So the first positive is that you get to pick and choose your own tenants to an extent. So the way we found this is when we've been advertising our properties, obviously we really get to get a feel for each tenant individually, get to kind of understand whether they'll fit in with the dynamic of the, like, especially if it's HMO, the house we're trying to create, or just what type of tenant we're looking to get into the property. So you're not just getting like just the paperwork trail of like, this is what an individual is. You're really getting to know them and really think, would they fit in with our property? And we found that really, really useful, just to really understand kind of who they are and what they're looking to do and what they're looking to do with their life, really. So that's really, really great first positive we had.
Another one was we get to build a good relationship with them. So this is one of the reasons why I really wanted to do it, because I really like working with people, and I thought, well, I like the property, but I want to be able to build a good relationship with our tenants, which I hopefully feel we have done, and be able to, so they can feel like they can easily be open and honest with us if there was any issues, and just build that good relationship with them. So that's definitely been a positive, because we have had a good group of people that have been in our properties.
Yes, we have been very lucky in that sense. The next one is that you can see you're making a difference. So this is on two parts, really. One, when you're seeing people go into your properties, you can really see how it's changing their lives, and they're getting a lovely home to move into that you wouldn't necessarily see if you wasn't seeing them on a regular basis. But on the other hand, when someone has had maybe a bit of a troubled past and they've struggled to, like, maybe had a bit of a bad background where they've maybe got a bit of debt in the past, but they're kind of overcoming that, you can see how you're allowing them to get back on their feet and to move forward and to change their lives in that way. So it's really, really rewarding in that part, where you really get to know the individual and kind of see them kind of changing their lives as well at the same time, but just getting a really, really nice home to live in.
Yeah, and I think what you wouldn't get potentially with an agent is obviously we get their feedback firsthand. So we get, you know, they can actually speak to us, say thank you, which you potentially wouldn't get that same feeling if you're with an agent. So that's definitely why we like that.
Yes.
And another positive was, obviously, I think I've briefly mentioned it before, was you make more money because you have to pay an agent to look after it. So if you're a buy to let is usually between 8 and 10% you have to pay on how much rent you're, so say if you made £1,000 rent, you have to generally give £100 to your agent to manage it, and HMOs usually between 10 to 12%. So that's kind of, I guess, been a benefit for us because it's made us some more money every month.
Yes. The next one is worked really, really well for us is just filling the rooms quicker. So I guess in this perspective, no one will push your property as much as you will. Obviously, agents are only open a certain amount of time. You can kind of push adverts, respond, message people out of hours, every day, every hour under the sun, and it really allows you to kind of make sure that you're getting the tenants when they're wanting to look at the property, because a lot of times they'll message later on in the day, say they're messaging like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. Sometimes if you was to wait till the next morning, sometimes they might have already messaged another landlord and found another property. So by us self-managing, we've been able to get tenants to viewings and to get the rooms let a lot quicker. A lot of the time before the refurbs have even been finished, we've had the rooms let, or sometimes the whole house has been let without the refurb being completely finished. It really benefits in that sense when you're doing the advertising and pushing it on yourself.
And I think we're probably more likely to do unsociable hours in terms of viewings. So we'd be happy to show them around Sundays and stuff like that. So definitely more flexible potentially. And another thing is, as a positive, you get to keep an eye on your properties a lot more, because we would go in frequently showing people around or testing fire alarms and stuff like this. So you can get to see if they're keeping them in the nice condition that we left them in. So that's good for keeping an eye on them as well.
Yeah, and that one I've really enjoyed as well. Obviously, I love going to the property and see like the whole refurb aspect. It's really nice just to kind of always be going back every so often, because when you hand it off, obviously you completely hand it off, and then you're only really going to be going back when either there's maybe a big issue or there's a big void, or you just need to go back to see what's going on in between tenancies. Whereas obviously if you're managing it, you can go back on a regular basis, keep an eye on it. It's quite nice just to see what's going on and how, again, that they're enjoying the house at the same time. The next one is just understanding what works and what doesn't. So without us having self-managed, we would have no idea, apart from obviously just understanding from working with agents, what does work from a letting perspective and what doesn't. So again, what tenants expect of you, what they don't, how quickly you should respond, how quickly they expect to respond, what kind of just putting those kind of systems into place that you just wouldn't, well, we just wouldn't have understood otherwise. So it's been a really great learning curve in that sense to actually self-manage them, to learn so much about the other side of property that you probably have a little idea of, but you don't really understand how much work it kind of takes at the same time. So that's been really useful for us.
Which is actually will massively help us.
Yes.
When we've had, well, we are handlers now, but in terms of knowing that they're also doing the right things, because we know what to look out for now. Which is good. So they were some of the positives.
Just on that as well, obviously, with the agents as well, we know how we like to work. So when we talk to them, we're like, oh no, this is how we like to work with our tenants. So we can kind of put our stamp on their managing as well. So it really works quite nicely. Obviously, you want them to work in the way they want, but if you're like, okay, no, we've worked this way, could you do it that? You can kind of put into that of what works really well as well. Yeah, definitely. But yes, like Tasha's saying, they're the positives. You can
that's right. So yeah, there's some of the positives that we've had managing our own property. So we're just going to touch upon some of the negatives or things that haven't worked out so well for us. And I think the biggest and probably most obvious one is the time. The time it takes in order to manage your own property. So we literally did the whole process. So the finding the tenants, showing them round, going through the whole referencing. We had a company that referenced it for us, but we still had to manage that process. And then we had to manage them going in, and then obviously tenants leaving, and handovers and cleans and all the systems and just the general day-to-day management of the property. So when tenants are ringing up saying the boiler's broken or something like that, it takes a lot of time, more time than we anticipated. Yeah, and I guess at the beginning, like Tasha was saying, when we first started, it was quite straightforward, and it's kind of as you build your portfolio, obviously there's more and more to respond to, more tenants to respond to, so it takes more and more of your time. So it's all about just being prepared for that to happen if you are going to be self-managing. On top of that, the next one that was a bit of a negative for us was you really struggle to fully switch off. If you've got a hand over to an agent, it might contact you every so often with there's like a maintenance issue or just to update you on what's happening with tenants. But when we were self-managing, like going away on holiday or going to when you kind of
you're back home, you want to switch off and leave. And obviously, like I was saying, with arranging viewings with messaging tenants, when there's an issue, they'll go through phases where they won't message us at all for months, and then it'll feel like every day, every single one's messaged us. So you never can fully switch off. Like, for example, we was on holiday the other week, and like probably about 3 or 4 times in one day, just one group of tenants would just message us because there was an issue going on. And then you're kind of waiting the next day thinking there's going to be another issue to come on. So even though there isn't one, you're just kind of not switching off completely. So that's a negative of obviously managing it yourself, that you can't hand it off to someone because you're in control of it on a day-to-day basis and need to be responding quickly if there is an issue.
Yeah, I think as well, if you just got, say, a set number, like, I don't know, 3 properties or something like that, haven't got that constant tenant turnover or bringing on new. I think because we're bringing on new properties, we're constantly trying to bring new people in.
Yes.
And that's the stuff that really takes up a lot of time.
Yeah.
And like Ray's been like taking most of this. So we have WhatsApp groups, and that's how they usually contact us. So pretty much all the time, it'll be just like little bits, or you trying to get someone new in or advertising it, and the other week. Ray likes to sleep talk.
Yeah, sometimes, especially when I've got a lot going on.
And so he literally rolled over and was just like, I need to turn my phone on. And I was like, really? Oh, okay, why? And he was like, I need to send blah, 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 the contract. And I was like, now? It was like 2 a.m. in the morning. He's like, yeah, I need to send that to her. And then I was like, can you not wait till the morning? And then he just rolled over and went back to bed. And then I woke up and I was like, so do you need to send, the person the contract? And he was like, no, they haven't actually.
Then passed their references yet, so why would I send the contract? It just shows your mind's completely wide, and there's obviously a lot going on in property in general. So it's just another thing that's kind of taking up your mind space that maybe you want to use elsewhere. For us, obviously, it was taking up a lot of time, so it wasn't putting it to use where we want to. And as you can tell, I wasn't even sleeping particularly well because my mind was very active. So it just shows how it can affect you in different ways.
You've done that one.
Yes.
So we've got little notes so we don't forget all our points. So the next one, in terms of another negative, is more about finding the time as well, in terms of finding the right people and having the right team in place. You have to have the time to do that. So we did have a team, so we didn't have to keep going up for everything. So if there was a problem, we were able to message our builder or someone like that who could step in, or love your sister.
Yes,
she
so
and her,
amazing.
Her husband stepped in a number of times.
Yeah.
So we did have those people, but having to find those people to have that good team, and then having the systems in place, so you've got everything stored, when the next gas safety check and everything like that is in place. There's a lot of work goes on behind the scenes, way more than we thought. And I think we're growing at a pace where we were kind of, I guess, not being we're probably not the most organized of people.
It's not one of our strengths. We do a bit of organizing, but when everything's going on, that's the thing that we easily let slip. So definitely one to get better.
So having that system, and obviously you can outsource that to VAs and stuff like that, which is another learning. So having to find the team and making sure all the right systems in place in order to make sure you're doing everything right.
And even when you had the right team, sometimes if it was just a small issue, I'd sometimes like, I'll just go around and fix that, or I'll just go and do that. If it's just like a small tiny issue that I can do, and again, it's just taking up your time that maybe you can use elsewhere, especially if you think, for one their team to send out, might take like a day or them to come out, whereas I'll just do it now. So it just depends what it is, can free up a lot more time for you. And the last kind of negative we thought of was just that you sometimes make decisions based on your emotion that you wouldn't necessarily do if you had an agent involved. So this can be particularly maybe if you've got a particular tenant type you want to work with, and someone who comes to you who isn't that tenant type, and obviously you get to meet them, you get to understand their situation, and then obviously your emotions can make a decision for you rather than you making a business decision. So you might be like, okay, I'll do that, I'll work with them because they really need the help. Whereas obviously with an agent, they'll be like, no, this is the tenant type I'm going for, we don't sway from that. And we've experienced that firsthand as well, how that can impact you. Again, it can really, when you do, obviously when your emotion's high, your intelligence is lower, so that can impact you quite a lot. So there's a lot of emotion involved in managing your own properties, because one, obviously they're your properties, you really care about them, but on the other hand, obviously you're getting to know the tenants, so you can really take on their emotions at the same time. So you need to separate yourself from what they're going through at the same time.
I think that's the point. I think when obviously we're nice, we're nice. I say we are nice people.
Hopefully nice people,
So when people are like struggling, if they're known behind on their rent, which is very rare, or they want to change stuff up in terms of pay weekly as a monthly.
Yeah. We always try to work with them.
Yeah, so we want to understand them, and therefore maybe if it was a managing agent, they might be like, just no, that's not how we do it. Whereas we're like, oh, okay, like we'll try and work with them, and that could become a negative in terms of the business. Yeah. Even though we're working with them, and luckily on pretty much all occasions it's worked well for us. But there could be occasions when it doesn't. Yeah, it's just another thing you're worrying about or taking on, especially when you're kind of, like Tasha said, if someone's like, I'm paid monthly, or can I pay weekly, or can I pay 2 weeks this week, 1 week next week? It's again just extra things that you're having to think about that you could put to use elsewhere. So again, it's just extra things to weigh up, really. So there's some of the positive and negatives that we've experienced. So then recently, the reason why we decided to then give our properties to a managing agent, just really because what we realised was now what's more important to us is not money, but is actually time. Yes. So the reason we got into property in the first place was to spend more time together. Yes. And with our loved ones. And there was a point where Ray was literally up north for 6 weeks, and he came back home for 4 days. Yeah. And we were just like, what are we doing? And it's just because I was having to go back and forth so regularly. Maybe like I had a viewing one day and I had another one in like 4 days. And I was just like, what's the point of coming back? I want to just stay up here. So yeah, you kind of got into that sort of routine, didn't we? And property was becoming less enjoyable because we were like, this is not why we're doing it, to feel like trying to manage lots of different people and their situations and making sure, like, not only managing your own household but also other people's as well. It was just taking our toll, and what we realized was we've kind of stagnated, and we've been looking or working so much in the business that we weren't working on the business. So that's why I was saying it's okay if you've got a set amount of properties and that's all you want, and you're not going to continue to grow, therefore you can spend that attention on that. But for us, we want to continue to build our portfolio, and we just weren't having the time to do that because I'm working most of the time, and you're doing the property, but most of the time doing all the management and the tenant finding stuff. Yeah, and if you asked us if we regret the decision to self-manage at the beginning, I would say no, not at all. Like I said at the beginning, it's taught us so much, we've learned so much, and it served its purpose to where it was, to where we got to. But now, like Natasha was saying, we spent so much time just focused on kind of being in the business rather than growing our business and really taking it to the next level. Now just feels the right time just to push on, because we just needed to make that change to we don't regret what we've done. Don't regret it whatsoever. But if I could say anything, I would say I would personally recommend handing over to managing agents, from the start. If you're looking for time. In hindsight, the money will come in the long run anyway, where we did it for that reason to begin with at the beginning. But in hindsight, probably at the beginning, just to trust our instinct, what Tasha said at the beginning, that we looked to go with agents, but then was like, oh, it's actually fine, we'll do this ourselves. That, go with your gut and trust it. And you're taught that for a reason, to hand over to an agent so you can grow the business and take it to the next level. So carry on doing that for sure.